These notes are going to cover the culture that arises in the Byzantine Empire and the lasting achievements that the Byzantine Empire is going to bring into history. And it's going to pair with the reading, questions, and advertisement activity that we do with the Byzantine Empire. So the Byzantines are going to be blending Greco-Roman concepts of things like arches and domes and columns with the more Eastern, more Asian concept of, if I pull this picture up, of the onion dome shapes of the various the colors and the structures that you see more in the Middle East and very Eastern Europe. You're going to have the Greek Orthodox Church, which, remember, is going to be combined very closely and very intermixed with the Byzantine government because of the system of marrying the church with the government. But the church and the government together are going to combine to fund a lot of the architectural endeavors of the empire in a patronage system, which is basically a system of the government using taxpayer money to pay for not just the arts, but also to architecture, to beautifying the city. Similar to Pericles and his actions in spending treasury money in Athens to beautify and rebuild the city, only in this case you're building not just from government tax money, but you're also having the church get involved. So in Orthodox Christianity, there's an emphasis on icons. Icons are religious symbols, religious art that are going to often depict very important religious figures, lots of things about Jesus and Mary, the crucifixion scenes, but also can include images of the apostles or any of the saints. As saints become indoctrinated, they can all become icons. There's a belief in Orthodox Christianity that you can pray directly to the person in the icon. So, for instance, a picture of Jesus Christ, that you actually pray to the picture, and that allows you a direct connection to God. This is going to be different from what the Romans were teaching, where the Roman Catholics have a concept of needing a priest to be an intermediary between yourself and God. In the Orthodox Church, the icons, the people in the paintings are going to actually serve as that intermediary for you. So a lot of the funding, a lot of the patronage system is going to go into the creation of icons in art. We've also talked a little bit already about the use of mosaics and the emergence of mosaics. The Byzantines are going to go into a much more flat style of art. It's going to lose the depth and the perfection of the human form that the Greco-Roman concept is. If you picture like any of the statues of the Roman and Greek gods, you always see them depicted as these like perfect specimens. They're all super muscular and that sort of thing. That's going to go away with the emergence of the Byzantine Empire, and you're going to start going more towards what people actually would look like, thinner and that sort of thing. But you're going to lose the depth and the perception of art in the Byzantine Empire, and that's going to play through until the Renaissance. But the mosaics are going to play a large part of that, because it's really hard to create depth when you're looking at little small pieces of stone and tile and glass. We talked a little bit already about the Hagia Sophia, also the very, very beautiful church that's going to come into play. So Byzantine culture itself is going to be, we talk about it as a blend of Greek and Roman culture, but it's realistically more of a blend, not just of Greco-Roman culture, but also Greek, Roman, and Middle Eastern. draw this. I'm having to draw with my finger. Cultures, because you're going to have to bring into play the influence of the Anatolian Peninsula and the sort of the Eastern Mediterranean coastline that's going to come into play in the Byzantine Empire. They're going to speak Greek rather than Latin. And again, it's a proximity thing for where they were in location to Rome itself. Largely Greek Orthodox rather than Roman Catholic, and so then you have the differences in things like the Pope versus the Patriarch and the role of the government in the church. There are massive libraries that are going to be constructed, being funded both by the government, by the church, and occasionally by private citizens in order to promote learning and promote education. But also, this is where the texts of the Greeks and the Romans are going to be preserved. It's going to be scribes' jobs to transpose text and translate text into different languages, to update it, but also to make, before the printing press, you have people hand making copies of text. And you would store those in archives in the libraries. And so we have so much more information about Herodotus and Thucydides and all of the various people of the Greek and the Roman culture and their history, because these libraries were created in the Byzantine Empire to preserve that information. And that's going to become a theme throughout history. There's also going to blend in Russian and European civilizations. If you look at this map, you think about it, you're going to get this influx of influence coming down from the north in through Bulgaria into the Byzantine Empire. They're also going to control trade. When we talked about the location of Constantinople, we talked about the fact that in order to get through the Dardanelles here and then through the Bosporus, you have to get through the heart of the Byzantine Empire, and so they're going to be able to control the trade, and that's also going to allow them to spread ideas and to spread information. So the art and the culture and the religion are going to also become spread through Russia and through the Middle East, and all the way through the Arabian Peninsula, and even parts of Egypt are going to get this influx of Orthodox influence rather than the Roman Catholic influence that was there before. The architecture and the art are going to be copied all through the Eastern world, and you're going to see in Russia buildings that are being built that are using the same architectural styles, with the squarish buildings with the more onion-shaped domes and that sort of thing, that are going to be much more closely tied to what was being built in, say, Turkey, rather than having the Russian buildings be mirrored more like traditional German or Central European or Greek and Roman buildings would have been. There's going to be a very influential man in religious history. His name is Saint Cyril. And Saint Cyril is a missionary, so it was his job to spread Christianity to the north of the Byzantine Empire. And he and several of his colleagues went all through Western Europe, Western Russia, Eastern Europe, Western Russia. And they interacted with the Slavic peoples. Eastern Europeans are Slavic peoples. If you picture the Bulgaria, Yugoslavia areas, and also the Russian cultural center, all of that is a Russian Slavic culture. And so one of the things that St. Cyril and his men do is they create an alphabet where they blend the ideas of the Latin and the Greek alphabets, and then they add in new symbols that would have represented sounds that the Russians or the Slavs were using that the Greeks and the Romans didn't have. There's not sounds that weren't in Latin, weren't in Greek. And they create their own language. They create the Cyrillic alphabet. And as they were able to do this, the Bible gets translated, and that's how they get to spread Christianity, and Orthodox Christianity in particular, to the Russian Empire. So this is just to show you a Venn diagram of the Greek Latin and Russian languages. So, whenever you have a Venn diagram of 3, when you have this interspersed center section, all of these letters are used by all 3 languages. Whereas you will not find the letter C in Greek. It's only going to emerge in Latin and Cyrillic alphabets, the Russians. And at the same token that you won't see gamma in Latin, because we have a Latin-based alphabetic system, but you will see gamma in Russian to represent sounds in Russian. And of course, there's things like sigma over here that are just Greek, or you won't see the letter Q in Russia and you won't see the letter Q in Greece, but you see it in a lot of Latin-based languages. So any of the Romance languages that we've talked about, but also in English and the German languages because of the influx of the Romans. But St. Cyril had to come up with all of these. This bottom section here, all of those are new symbols that Cyril and his compadres were putting together in order to make sure that they had enough of a sound to symbol ratio to be able to account for everything that they were working with. So one final slide, we're going to keep going, and we're going to touch about the Eastern Orthodox Church. Know that it comes from the same base as Christianity, but it's going to emerge when there's the schism between the 2 churches in 1054. And most of our class is going to cover the period between Rome and the Renaissance, where everyone in Europe is Roman Catholic, because that's what you always say, is everybody's Catholic because there's not any more denominations of Christianity until the Protestant Reformation. Well, you're going to have the Eastern Orthodox Church that emerges into the Byzantine Empire, and the Orthodox Church is similar to Catholicism, but it's going to have some different ideas, and it's what's going to be spread through the Middle East and Africa and Russia most in particular, and that's as a result of the Byzantines adopting it. So that's all I have for you. As always, if you have any questions, send me an email, let me know. Thanks.